Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 103. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
You know, that Hideki Go episode was a yaoi awakening for some people.
Yeah. Honestly, anything can be. Also joined by Brad.
Classic mistake. You don't reward the child for not doing his homework by putting him in a situation where he's far away from school and needs to do less homework. What are we doing?
Damn. It also, you know,
Brad, the local expert on pedagogy on this podcast.
Yeah. Unlike Mel, who could not stay further away from schools if she tried.
Absolutely.
True. Can't
stand those little brats.
If I was a substitute teacher, I'd be the one just like, fuck it, here's a Bill Nye episode. But this is social studies, fuck the fuck up.
So yeah, we got 3 more episodes of Ultraman Leo coming up. I think one of them's really good.
I like 2 of them.
Yeah, I think one of them is like really good.
Yeah, one of them is like We're So Back, and I'd say there's also like another one that's like, oh, there's an indication of a pattern, and another one where I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to see how we talk about it, how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. It was like, you know, sandwich pilled. It's a good week.
So before we get to any of that, we've got our usual stuff. A bit of show and tell. I am maybe about to falling gently down a rabbit hole just a little bit. Because I've been playing Foxhole.
No, that's you said a rabbit hole. Why are you lying?
I lied. I've fallen down a foxhole. Foxhole is that top-down, like in between World War I/World War II shooter. That is also like everything in the game is made by players. You know, it's a thing where like there's a war. It lasts between 3 to 6 weeks most of the time, and then the war is won by one of the sides, and then they start the war again. And like there is a map with, you know, towns and stuff, and like it's a little bit, there's like a touch of asymmetry in terms of, you know, each side has their own guns, has their own vehicles and stuff. It's like mostly roughly aligned, but there's little hints of asymmetry in there. But everything beyond like the starting like geography of the land, everything else is like built by the players as the war goes on. And so like every bullet I shoot, every gun I grab, every bandage I use to, you know, wrap up my wounds, has been made by a player and then transported to the front lines.
That's sick.
It is sick.
I think what I like about this is it sounds like this isn't a graphically intensive game, which means you can go fucking crazy with like systems shit.
Yes, absolutely. It's like the only time this game slows down is when there's lots of players in like one section of the map. And it's split into zones. So like when you cross over from one zone into another, there you hit a border, and it's like hit this button to cross over into this next zone. Because it's all divided into these huge hexes. And just to make it slightly manageable. And so there's these incredible, like, first of all, the front line is incredibly intense. I've just been playing just infantry, and it's been a good time. There was two notable. I was like, as part of like this huge infantry push that like made it quite deep, and then because our armor had to back up to get repaired, we then like got pushed back. And it was this kind of, you know, push and pull, that is like, it's nice to just be a part of. It's like it's intense. It's fun. And I think the actual, like, the shooting's good. I think the shooting is good, and you die in like a couple of hits. It's like, it's rough out there. And then I also had a thing where this infantry we pushed back across a bridge, or like up to a bridge.
A bridge too far?
A bridge too far. But it was not a bridge too far this time. It often is. But this bridge was like, we then, as our team was like crossing the bridge, I was noticing that we were getting, that there was like a couple of, what I thought were like a couple of stragglers hanging around the back. And so I was like, well, I'm going to take this like sniper rifle. I'm going to go clean up. And what we actually found was these were like dregs of like coming in from like this other area that we'd now opened up to the front. And so I took part in like the early establishment of a new front, which was just because like night fell and it was just us all like, it was me lying in the middle of a road with a sniper rifle, keeping an eye out to the top of my screen for enemies coming in and picking them off. And it was like this really quiet, like small groups fighting. And then later I came back to that and I found like trenches had been built, and I found like there was now tanks getting involved, and this was like a new front had opened up. It was, seeing this kind of like dynamic establishment of this is interesting. And then I played some logistics when I listened to a podcast, and I was like, oh, okay, this is maybe a good podcast video game.
It's good to have a good podcast video game,
or like a good music video game, right?
Yeah,
especially because like you can just there's like backline logistics where you're building stuff and putting stuff in like seaports for later to be transported elsewhere. You got frontline logistics, which is like moving stuff from storage depots into like up to forward like bunker bases. Because like even spawns, right? You can spawn into a place if there is a soldier supply there, and like a soldier supply is the symbol is a shirt, and so it's commonly referred to as shirts. You can only spawn if there are shirts there. You can run out of shirts. People have to deliver shirts to your base for you to keep spawning in there. And so like that's frontline logistics. And then where I'm hoping, I'm thinking like this is gonna be real. This is gonna be real. Listening to music, listening to a podcast, gaming is midline logistics, where you are just picking up crates from the back line and moving them to a more convenient storage depot like near the front line. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna be a trucker. I'm gonna get myself a cap. I'm gonna go trucking. It's gonna be good.
I should play some space trucking games. This is just a tangent from that, but I should play some.
I've been saying this for myself for years too.
Go play trucking games.
Oh, like the space ones.
Yeah, specifically the space ones, like Elite Dangerous or something.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
I will always remember my friend telling me, I think it was Elite Dangerous, it might have been one of the other ones, where they just stealth dropped aliens in an update. So people were like flying around and then being like, what the fuck is this weird starfish thing?
No,
and honestly,
nice.
That's cool as shit.
Now, I've taken a moment in this past 30 seconds to reconsider my position, because I realized that the name Elite Dangerous contains two words which I dislike.
Elite and dangerous.
Yes.
Damn.
As someone who plays Dark Souls, that appeals to me.
Oh, I guess we found who's the most bourgeois member of the podcast.
I do think it's funny how I'm looking at Foxhole on Steam, and it says similar to games you've played, Hearts of Iron 4 and Arma 3.
Okay. It is similar to Hearts of Iron 4 in the sense that sometimes is in the sense that you can maybe raise an eyebrow at the community.
That makes sense.
Also like Arma 3.
Also like Arma 3. It's like I have to hope that most of it is all in good spirit. Which is that because it's a fictional continent, It's not based on real countries. This is like there's this old empire that's been that lost a lot of land to this new upcoming power called the Colonials, and this old empire is called the faction's called the Wardens, and now this land.
Are they called the Colonials because they were the colonized?
This is a good question.
I have questions.
Unclear. Here's the thing. They're called the Colonials, and I would describe them as World War II America themed. Whereas I would describe the Wardens as like World War I/World War II like Euro vibes. Like they've got like they've got the hats that the French wore in World War One. They've got like these blue uniforms, very French. But they've got things like they have a touch of British vibes now, and they have like these like British tanks looking things. It's also lots of. There's a bit more navy coming from the Wardens because there was like a big naval update at some point. But also, the one of the aspects of asymmetry I found out is that like delivery by sea is trickier for the Colonials because their riverways are way windier, but they have better trucks. And like the Wardens have these really nice straight routes by river to deliver up to their front lines, but they don't have as good trucks for delivering stuff. So this is the kind of fun you can have with the asymmetry of the game. It used to be that everyone apparently in the early days of Foxhole, everyone had the same fucking stuff, and there are people that miss that, and I'm like, that sounds kind of boring.
I love to have the perfectly balanced fighting game.
Yeah, here's the thing. If I'm playing like Halo, right? I like balance. All right.
Yeah.
If I'm playing this game now, there is balance. Like balance is like considered, right? However, so long as on average both sides are winning roughly the same amount of wars, you're doing all right. So,
I think asymmetry, the more simulationist you get, I feel like asymmetry becomes more interesting as a concept to me.
Definitely.
So,
like,
you don't want the first, I think it was the first Battlefield game had a D-Day map where it was just like, if everyone knew what they were doing, it was impossible for the Allies to ever win.
Oh, man. That's kind of how it felt, because I've also been playing a little bit of like old original like Battlefront and going like, oh, this game is nowhere near as good as I remember. Rip.
Oh yeah,
I've never engaged with FPS as a genre, to be honest, much like RTS, which is like, I guess when I think about it, it makes sense. I just haven't engaged a lot with classic. Go on.
Yeah, I do remember at some point this is kind of like the weird thing about gaming having so many different like branches is like at some point you mentioned that you'd never really played a video game from a first person perspective and wouldn't.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's crazy. I was like, I don't know how that happens.
Well, I think part of it is like I didn't do a lot of PC gaming. And I didn't own an Xbox. This is the thing. I think the only Mario game I ever played was like the DS one. And like 2D Mario. And so it's like, you know what you should play? Mario 64.
Yeah, probably. Again,
which,
N64. Never played a game from N64. Never in my life.
To be fair, I think it is a lot more normal for a British person to say they haven't engaged with the N64 than a Canadian.
Yes.
That's kind of just how it went. Nintendo, as you know, I had a DS. I had a Wii.
Here, like, basically everyone I knew was N64, which I think is not necessarily as true in the US. Like, I think, like, PlayStation...
I'd say it was a pretty even split from what I remember as a kid. I was a freak and had both.
Oh, you see, so you know, the most bougie member of the podcast.
So true.
Damn. I had the OG PlayStation. I remember playing Gran Turismo 1 and Ridge Racer 1. I was not good at Ridge Racer.
No one is.
I was okay.
We discussed this a few months.
Yeah, we discussed this a few months ago. Ridge Racer fucking tricky.
Yeah. No, that's a different game.
Ridge Racer Tricky does sound like it would be like a goofy, like, chibi spin-off for, like, the PSP or something.
And it's secretly, like, really good.
And the video essayists are like, this one goes hard.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the one that's, like, you know, the mainstream people, like, turn up their nose for not being real Ridge Racer, and, you know, the people who actually, like, care about gameplay, it's like, actually, this pretty sick.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, I've been watching a lot of anime and finishing none of it. But I've been playing Foxhole, so I can report back on Foxhole. Foxhole's a pretty good time. I'm into it.
Yeah, I've been, like, partly inspired by my Ridge Racer foray, thinking a lot about, like, the idea of how far you can extrapolate out the quote unquote arcade versus sim spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's just, like, you can get a lot of things in the same genre that are, like, have more, like, stats or sim elements under the hood versus a more, like, linear, I won't say deterministic, but, like, you know, more black and white, and with, like, different skill sets. But
speaking of sims and no, you finish your point.
I think I was just gonna say, I think I need to, like, this is a weird half-baked thesis I'm not sure I can commit to unless I, like, can dig into more stuff.
Speaking of lots of numbers and sim elements, they announced EU5.
Yeah, well, they've been doing dev diaries for EU5 for, like, a year
under a name that's under the file name definitely not Europa Universalis V.
And everyone knew it was like, listen, we call it Project Caesar. We haven't named it yet, and everyone's like, it's obviously EU5. Like, it's the same time period. It's the same map colors. And so it's sort of like, just like, oh, nice. They just they finally just reveal the names. So we can just talk about it like normally.
I should put time into this one because EU4 is a game I'm like, this seems really cool, and, like, honestly, like, weirdly the most laid back one of these. And I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could get really into it. But for whatever reason, my brain has always just clicked with Crusader Kings and Hearts of Iron more. So
yeah, Crusader Kings seems like go on, Red.
Oh, I'm getting in on the ground floor with this one.
I might want to. Like, I still need to get CK 3, I think, but well, actually, I think I have CK 3. I just haven't got expansions for it. But yeah, this one looks like a crazy super game, but I guess, like, every game kind of feels like that in some ways. But this one is even more so.
I can't wait for the first year where everyone's like, this one fucking sucks, and then the DLC starts coming in, they're like, it's pretty good, and then, like, the fourth DLC happens, and they're like, this ruined the game, and then they fix it a year later. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Remember when
I'll
experience it live.
They'd release games on shorter dev cycles, and then also they had, like, a few expansions or DLCs, and then we just meant to move on to the next one. Anyway, I wonder how Tekken's doing.
Have you seen the compilation of people reacting to the new DLC character?
No.
I don't even know the new DLC character.
It's Fakuram, but everyone fucking hated him in 7 because he's so annoying to fight. So someone compiled, like, a 3-minute long video of all of the big Tekken, like, YouTubers and streamers watching the trailer.
Fantastic.
And just going, no! Everyone is so bad.
Sega picked a really good time to get Virtua Fighter 6 off the ground.
They really did. Tekken
like the
stock's never been lower.
King's back, baby. Now would have been actually a funny time to release a new DOA, but that's also dead.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
You were talking about shorter release cycles.
Yeah,
And I have been playing a little bit of Tiberian Sun, the second Command and Conquer game in the main timeline. And this is Gen 2 Command and Conquer basically. And combined with this next generation of Command and Conquer, there is a game released very shortly afterwards that's Red Alert 2. And it's like this cycle of these games where it's like we release the baseline Command and Conquer, then we release Red Alert, and then, you know, Command and Conquer 2, Red Alert 2, and it's just like the original Red Alert is just not that different from Command and Conquer, but is miles and miles away the better game. Tiberian Sun is already good, but people do talk about Red Alert 2 like it's one of the best RTS games ever made, ever. And I'm like, I'm already liking Tiberian Sun, and if the step up is the same as it was from last time, then yeah, I can see it. So yeah, this, you know, short, you know, if you got these shorter turnaround times on video games, you can, you know, you can make good ones.
Like, that's also the thing that happened with, like, Tales, where you had, like, 2 dev teams go on different styles of games concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I guess the Call of Duty is the other one you can go to.
They made Shin Megami Tensei 2, and they're like, we got this engine and all these assets to just make a fucking another one. They made If, like, a year later.
King of Fighters used to be a yearly release thing, and they'd named the release after the year.
Oh. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
Like FIFA.
Yeah.
Basically.
Damn. No, I did not know that. Just because I'm not like super in on fighting games necessarily. I've just played a couple here and there.
Okay.
You should just parrot my opinions and act as though they're fact. Just like what our listeners should do with
should I really commit to your opinions without actually knowing any of the like fundamental things that got you to those opinions? So I can't explain them, really? I can just double down on them and call other people morons.
Yeah, that'll make me feel more like a real YouTuber than anything I've done on my channel the last year.
Yeah. I'll do that. What's like your most controversial fighting game opinion?
Blaze Blue's kind of mid.
All right, I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And when people ask me why, no, I'm just going to be like, you know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how much
Blaze Blue.
Haven't you played it? It just is.
Actually, no. Hold on. I got a spicier one. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle is the best Blaze Blue game.
Oh no, I can go in on this anyway because I watched a lot of Ruby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's also the most fun I've ever had playing a Blaze Blue game.
Man.
I'm gonna be like, yeah, the Blaze Blue that's got the Ruby characters in, that's the best one. All right. Who wants to go next?
Speaking of racing, that Miami Grand Prix was pretty fucking good. Yeah. My boy Oscar Piastri's won 3 Grand Prix in a row, which is pretty sick. I also had what I can only describe as I feel like a rite of passage moment for an F1 fan, which is that on Friday night, my buddy Shane is in town, who is someone who, been best friends for a long time now. This is the Final Fantasy X friend for long-time listeners of the show. We did kind of drift apart due to just, like, life shit and different priorities, and, like, ever since have been kind of playing catch-up with, like, trying to hang out more often. We do live, like, hours apart now, so it's kind of hard. But work brought him into my neck of the woods unexpectedly on Friday, and he's like, hey, since I'm so close, we should just go out fucking drinking tonight. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Had a great time. I did recently order some F1 clothing, because I was like, I need some new shirts and like random shit or whatever. I wanted like a new set of running shoes, so ordered some clothes, and I just happened to be wearing my F1 shirt, and he asked me about it because he's like, oh yeah, I thought I saw on like Facebook or whatever you posted like you're getting to F1 or whatever, and I was like, yeah. So I was chatting about it, and this dude, so we're sitting outdoors at this bar and they had like a long like fire pit basically, and across the fire, this one guy who's like probably 9 years younger than me starts going, "Oh man, if Verstappen had the car that the McLaren drivers had, he would be killing it right now because he's a legend." Now, I'm not like deep enough in yet where I can really feel confident having conversations of this type with anyone about anything in the sport, but I know an opportunity when I see one. So I did just start to go like, I don't know, man, he's getting older, he isn't getting any younger, and it might just be time for the young blood to take over, and I don't know, maybe he's washed. And this guy this guy started going off on, no, it's just they can't build a car that really takes advantage of his skill right now. And the deck's just stacked against him, but he's really the greatest to ever do it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think maybe his best years are behind him. And I just kept going on, and eventually he got bored and started talking to his friends again. But I was like, I feel like I just had my first real F1 fan conversation. It was a great time.
Excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, the race was good. You had a little bit of everything. You had some really interesting and highly combative, like, first few laps for the, like, first, second, and third position. You had Hamilton being kind of saucy over the radio with with the team, the pit team. I always forget the proper name, but basically because he and his partner were behind. So I can't remember who they were behind, but they were behind someone. They're having a really difficult time passing. So Hamilton couldn't overtake. So the team radio was like, "Hey, let your partner pass you, and then give him the shot to try to overtake, because we'll score more points that way." And you could tell Hamilton was a little pissed off about it. So then someone else a few seconds later starts to crawl up behind Hamilton, and the team radios in again to warn him about it. And Hamilton radios back, "Oh, do you want me to let him do you want me to let him pass too?" It's like, let's fucking go. This is the good shit.
I love that you just get the radio. I love that they're bitches.
Yes, it's so good.
I love them being catty.
I do also like, every time I've seen like someone crash out or just otherwise something go disastrously wrong, you get the little radio in of, "There's no fucking way that was legal." And then like 3 minutes later you get the commentator update. "Yeah, there's no penalty for that." They have decided there was no penalty. It's good. F1's good. I'm in it. I feel like this was a great season for me to hop in on. I got lucky.
Mm-hmm. Got lucky with your guy pick too. Jesus.
I did. I actually saw there, like, because I've fully immersed myself. I'm browsing like the F1 subreddits and shit now, and there was someone who was like, "Hey, I want to get like my girlfriend into F1. What are good like races I can show her just to like kind of see if she's into it or not?" And people were recommending like, "Oh, this season's actually pretty good." And there were people replying like, "This season might be too interesting to show someone because it might give them too high."
Oh my god, they're on the fucking Ultraman skip list shit.
They are, yeah. But they were like, the Miami Grand Prix is like better than most races. Like, it might be bad to show them because it was too exciting.
me when I read Fate Stay Night and like, oh yeah, the game that introduces the Grail War also introduces everyone breaking the rules of the Grail War.
Yeah.
I guess speaking of visual novels, I have read 12 more hours of Muv-Luv Alternative since we last talked.
Yeah.
Remember how we were talking just last week about how where you put an intermission in a work can really impact people's perspective on how long things are taking?
Yeah.
There is a pop-off point in what I think is the halfway point of Alternative from because like I've been asking friends, like, how far am I through this that have completed it? I almost wonder if maybe that should have been a tetralogy instead of a trilogy. A little bit. Because I've hit a point that has slowed the fuck down, and I'm not gonna lie, feels like it could have been the start of a fourth visual novel. Like, it's kind of gone back to that.
Here's the thing about video games. Gamers feel conned
when the last thing is like smaller.
So here's the thing. I think the halfway point of Alternative is longer than all of Extra. Like all playthroughs of Extra.
I mean, I think I had a
It's
bit
big.
of this as well, where like the last chapter of Higurashi is like ridiculous long, and that's because like the final act is like my friend did it in one sit and I did it in one sitting. It was like 8 hours, and I was like, oh, we didn't expect it to be this long.
You want to know something truly ridiculous? This is a very light, I guess, interface spoiler, but I'm on chapter 8 of 10 of Muv-Luv Alternative, and I'm halfway through the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well,
That seems odd.
okay.
So here's my thing too, is like, I'm getting exposition and like a lot of setup stuff now that I really don't think I would mind if I was clicking like, oh, I just installed this and like I'm playing through it like you know what I mean?
Right.
But
right,
because I'm
yeah.
30 hours coming off of a bunch of shit, it feels a little weird pacing wise. The game is also continuing the issue I've had where it's getting really bad with flashbacks all of a sudden, and like it's brought the pace down, and like it feels insecure a little bit to me of like, oh, I think they're really worried that people aren't going to be drawing certain connections that me as a smart reader have been, and then they flash to it anyways, and I'm like, well, okay, thanks for that, I guess. Sometimes it's just more like an emotional thing where like, to show the character's feelings, they'll flash back to an earlier conversation of like something that really resonated with them, and that stuff I feel like is a little less egregious. But when it's like, oh hey, remember this science thing we hinted at like 4 hours ago? It's important again, and it's like, okay. There's actually a really interesting thing where there is a point where your scientist friend is talking to you about the aliens again, and she goes, hey, do you remember when we gave you the speech from the last game, yes or no? And you get to pick if you want the exposition dump. And I was like, hey, you know, I could actually do with that again. Give it to me, like, remind me, like, refresh me sort of thing. And I'm like, you could have done this in at least 5 other situations, I feel, in this game, and it would have helped a lot. But they just give it to you every time, and that kind of bums me out. Otherwise, still having a good time, though. The pacing has took a hit, but I'm very intrigued with where it's going, so.
Wow.
The last thing I have... Well,
Yeah.
okay. Minor... everyone should watch The Rehearsal. That 3rd episode is one of the greatest episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. You will learn the truth of the landing on the Hudson River.
Yeah, you sent the fucking... I'm not going to talk about it, but you sent a clip through that I was like, this is... I'm losing my mind over this.
I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
I was busy, so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I should watch it later.
It's one of the funniest things. I
Sully
I
gets an
couldn't.
iPod.
I couldn't believe it.
I watching it
I'll
live
have
with
this
friends.
open,
I
okay.
started laughing so hard that I couldn't see because of tears in my eyes, and then my throat started to hurt. It was bad. But yeah, that was my quick check-in. The other thing I was going to say was Mel and I did something that we talked about doing 5 million years ago that never got around to.
Yeah.
Which was
You
watching Mezzo
finished
Forte.
Tales of the Abyss.
Yeah,
No.
so true.
Definitely.
You watched the fucking. You watched hentai.
Yeah,
Yeah, the makers.
the
Yeah.
makers.
Now more
this
than ever.
one-
Mezzo Forte, by the way. You should have said the name.
Yeah, We're not just gonna leave it.
I
at me
did say-
declaring
I did
you
say the
watched
name.
hentai.
Well, I didn't hear it because of all the other cacophony. But yeah,
So,
That was an
Mezzo
interesting
Forte. Yeah, Mezzo Forte is another one of... Oh, fuck, what's the guy's name? Hold on. I just had it, too.
it's a guns and girl thing mostly.
Well, it's Yasuomi Uematsu,
Yeah.
who is also
I was
the director of Kite, which we
Yes.
watched previously.
This is definitely in the same conversation, almost like I think people almost describe it like a spiritual successor, I guess.
I mean, Sawa just is in the background of a shot.
Yeah. I guess she was fine.
Yeah, I guess she was fine. Like, I would not be surprised if, like, low-key Kite, this, and that upcoming Virgin Punk thing he's directing are all supposed to be the same. Like, it feels like it, too, a little bit.
It is funny that both this and Kite got, like, TV anime sequels, but no one really talks about those.
Yeah, I've heard the Mezzo Forte one is slightly better than the Kite one, but I don't think people really care for either.
I can probably articulate why as we talk more. Just, like, get best of guesses kind of thing.
So, the deal with Mezzo Forte is that it is about a agency called the DSA, the Danger Service Agency, not the other DSA, who take, like, odd jobs and, like, basically, like, assassination type work, or, like, just, like, doing overall criminal shit. And they get
They're also the robot industry. Somehow.
Yeah, they also make androids for nefarious crime purposes, but they always seem to get screwed over on deals involving that.
Which is why they put bombs in the robots.
Yeah, so they put bombs in the robots, just, you know, insurance measure. So they get a job from a mysterious client, and the antagonist side of this is this asshole owner of the local baseball team and his daughter, who kind of looks similar-ish to the main character, whose name is I'm already forgetting. The
Yeah, let me just see.
Mikura Suzuki is the combat specialist of the DSA, and then the other girl's name is...
Just call her Psycho Lady.
Yes, well, my sub said Psycho Bench specifically.
Well, yes, that is what it is.
Momomi Momoi is the daughter of the baseball team. Because
the baseball team's the Peach something.
Yeah, they're all Peach themed. And the dad's name is Momokichi Momoi. And they get into various altercations. Random sex scenes get spliced on through wherever they feel like.
There is only like two.
Yeah.
It does.
They are aggressively, like, I feel like the editing around for this one was a lot easier than it would have been for Kite. Because
impression,
they're so added in after the fact.
They extremely come across as, like, we shoehorned it in, and we're not going to make an excuse for them, and they can be safely cut. Because there's one that's, like, in the dream sequence, the first one, where there's,
I was gonna say, the thing I know about Mezzo Forte is that one of them is just a dream.
Yes.
There's a dream, and it's like, oh, there's, like, a romance scene, and then the one guy who's, like, romancing just says really abruptly and artificially, I'm gonna have sex with you, and it cuts to the sex part.
Yeah.
And it's really dumb.
It is egregious.
And the second one's pretty vile, but it's a robot, so it's actually okay.
Yeah, the second one was like, this rough. It's not as, I would say it's as rough as anything in Kite. I also weirdly feel like Kite is taking bigger swings in terms of, like,
yes,
telling a story that, like,
this was my conclusion, where I was like, objectively speaking, the sex stuff in Kite is grosser and worse, but also it's integrated into the story it's trying to tell that's, like, about, like, abuse and victimization.
Yeah.
In a way that's, like, does make it unfortunately harder to remove those scenes in a way that you can remove them in Mezzo Forte, but it also means that, like, Kite feels like it's going for it in a way that Mezzo Forte maybe isn't.
Yeah, this feels really no thoughts head empty, and it's kind of it kind of knows it. Like, it's having more fun. There is a really good scene in a bowling alley where, like, they're just, like, bullied for a bit. It's goofy.
Yeah, like, my exposure to this originally was, there was an old Twitter account called I think it's like Porn Out of Context, and it just showed the baseball fight scene. Not the baseball fight scene, the bowling alley fight scene. And yeah, it is like, a cool action. It's like having fun with it. Like, it's a goofy thing. Like, if I was to say, like, this is a capital F more fun time than Kite, because Kite is just really bleak.
Yeah, I do, being the no fun allowed robot Eggman creation, putting the side in, I do think I like Kite more, this was an enjoyable time.
I think, first of all, it's been established that Red is the one who hates Whimsy.
That's true. I'm sorry for stepping on your territory.
Yeah. We have
our roles. Second, I do think I'd agree. I do think, if I can think about it, I think, like, Kite is probably the harder watch, especially because it's almost like you lose something by cutting out those really hard to watch scenes that make it harder to recommend. Whereas with Mezzo Forte, you could probably just, like, you can just watch the clean version and just turn your brain off for a bit.
Yeah, like, this feels like peak VHS rental, like, I want something wacky to watch on my Saturday.
Like, I'll still think about that last shot of Kite in a way that I won't necessarily have Mezzo Forte stick with me beyond, like, you know what, that bowling alley fight scene is pretty cool.
Kite has, like, a gut punch at the end that makes me, like, consider the world. And Mezzo Forte is like, oh, those are some goofy guys. They're all shooting guns together and having a wacky time.
It's okay. Mezzo Forte says she's made it okay, so it's fine.
Yeah. This movie does start to enter into everything is made out of cake territory towards the end, with who and what is a robot.
Don't worry. We stuck in and swapped her out with a robot for like 8 hours in advance.
It gets really goofy. Yeah, I'm curious how Virgin Punk ends up.
I think it's a multi-part movie series too.
It is.
But now, I guess for content, we do have to watch it.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic. Like, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen this. I think I've been trying to avoid it because I'm like, well, I'll probably watch this at this point. Now that we're locked in.
I think we only have the one trailer even still. It's coming out in theaters next month in Japan.
Oh.
Jesus. So the first movie subtitle is Clockwork Girl. That goes hard.
Clearly it's called Virgin Punk because there won't be any sex scenes in it, right?
Yep. We'll see. Did you notice at the end of Mezzo Forte that the main girl changes her hair to look more like Sawa at the end?
No, I was head empty. I watched this at like midnight, 11 to midnight last night, after like 6 hours of driving. So I was.
Oh yeah, yeah. I noticed that. I was like, huh. I wonder if they're trying to like do something with that. But
she's like the new Sawa,
except the old Sawa is apparently just around and fine.
Also, the old Sawa is like a very sad character, whereas this girl is extremely not. She's just having a time.
She loves goofing around with her friends and making fun of them for being too poor to afford good food.
Damn.
It says that Virgin Punk began production at the end of the previous work, Wizard Barristers, which is a show that I remember was bad, that I only watched like one episode of.
Damn. Hopefully the movie's better.
Hopefully it's good. I mean, it looks like it's more like in line with the Kite and Mezzo Forte. We'll see. I guess we'll see on which end it'll be on.
Yeah.
And he also did weird. Yeah. I guess this all we can really say on that. I should watch more things with girls with guns. They're hopefully good.
I own a Blu-ray that I got for really fucking cheap. Like, I think literally less than $10 for a show called Noir, which is another one of these.
Yeah.
But I think is about, like, a schoolgirl with amnesia meets, like, secret agent lady, and they gotta go on, like, a buddy cop adventure together. And I'm like, that sounds like it could be fun.
I think Noir is one I've heard of recently. That's probably good. And also, Gunslinger Girls is one people bring up that's also depressing. They even put out Licorice Recoil slice of life shorts.
Damn.
Which has nothing to do with guns, but it's in the original show was the genre, so
I still haven't watched the last episode of that show.
That's funny.
I just, I paused and I was just like, maybe tomorrow. And then, it just...
Tomorrow
I just
never
haven't
came.
watched it.
Tomorrow
never came.
I do think that show does become a bit more cowardly by the end. In the finale. But,
Anyway.
yeah. Anyway. It is a magical show.
I got everything out of my week.
Yeah.
I've just been vibing. I started... Shelved by Genre is doing a Canticle for Leibowitz.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic book, and I have started rereading.
I have started reading that for the first time.
Yeah.
Along with the podcast. And it is funny. It is funny, as they say, that it is like 70% of Fallout comes from the first third of that book.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I also do think Dan Simmons definitely read that book as well as too.
It is influential.
Like, I think when they get to the part where, like, oh yeah, because it's like the Catholic Church, they're like, oh yeah, people are just saying Latin around. I'm like, damn, this is just like Boss Baby voice. This is just like Endymion. Yeah, I guess I haven't also been up to much because I've just been, had a bit of a busy week. Because, as Dad came to visit because we were going to fix my car, which had issues, and then immediately after my car got fixed, it was like, well, we now time to go back to my parents' place because it's Mother's Day to visit. So I haven't been able to do too much other than just, like, starting stuff, picking away at stuff.
Yeah.
I did try and watch The Hunt for Red October, and then I did not get very far.
Damn.
Maybe I need to be in a better headspace for it, but I might be too communist for it.
Red's older sibling.
Yes, my older sibling, precisely. Yeah. There is a beach house where I explain that the Red November thing is just because my birthday's in November, and I said that I knew someone who had been like, hey, is Red November a reference to the fact that by the Gregorian calendar the revolution takes place in November?
You know who that was? You know what it was? It was me.
Of course that was Mel. Of course that was Mel. Of course it was Mel.
I forget if we may have even had this conversation on microphone. I don't remember.
I don't think we did. I think those messages are, if we scroll up far enough, we could find those.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well.
Everything goes back to Gregory Calendar.
Gregory Calendar, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
That was his name. He invented the calendar. That's why it's called that.
Yeah, he's like, what
if I made time and days into a fucking grid? And then he took a drag.
Man, we should beat that guy up.
Yeah, and then someone goes up to him, hey, I think you need 2 more months. Want to put him here? In the middle?
He's like, yeah, sure.
And he's like, sure, let's offset the months.
Everything.
The numbers. What do you mean September is the 9th month?
He decided on 12 and said, I'm about to change the trajectory of everything. And then he fucking did that.
Alright. Well, we can get on to Ultraman.
Yeah.
We've got 3 episodes of Ultraman Leo. The first of which is episode 34, and it is called The Ultra Brothers' Eternal Vow.
We got our first Ultra Brothers episode, I think.
Now.
Sand 7, obviously. But
I have a question before we get into this. Because this is... What is the status of Astra as an Ultra Brother?
I think for now the Leo brothers are not considered Ultra Brothers.
So including Leo. Leo is not an Ultra Brother.
No.
Okay.
He doesn't even know the Ultra Brothers in this episode. It's been established.
That's wild.
Yeah. Because part of me was like, well, he's the Ultraman, so he has to be an Ultra Brother, which means that his brother must be an Ultra Brother as well. But
we'll see
they're
how
not
it goes.
Ultra. But anyway,
they haven't been inducted yet.
They haven't been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. This episode featuring the two-faced evil kaiju Asheran, in the kaiju ball, Sevenger, and also Return of Ultraman, Ultraman Returns.
Shinman.
Shinman. Ultraman Returns. I'm going to tell you, my base, just my regular old subs for this episode, did not call him by any future name that he might have.
Oh, that's strange.
Same. Because I forgot.
They just referred to him as
I mean,
Return of Ultraman,
that's just
basically.
his name, right? You know?
Yeah.
That's just what we know him by.
Yeah.
Why would you say that? I don't know what you're talking
Why
about.
would I say that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
He's got those AI hallucinations, but for a person.
Mm-hmm. Ultraman Returns. He is on his way to Earth with a little fucking ball thing as a birthday present for Moroboshi Dan. It's not a birthday present. It's not his birthday. Yeah, what the hell could the ball be? Who could say? Perhaps it ties into one of the most important aspects of the character of Ultra 7, an inescapable aspect of his original show, something that was so frequent that the franchise had to give us a 6-year break from it before daring to bring it before us again. An element that will cause Mel to dust off an old counter, perhaps.
Yes. Old segment back.
Anyway, while we've been joking about the Pokeball, Return of Ultraman got murked by the kaiju Asheran. And now he can't speak. He escapes to Earth, but lands
He
as
got
Hideki.
laser muzzled.
He got laser muzzled. He escapes to Earth, but lands as Hideki Go, unconscious, with his mouth sealed in a mask and the Pokeball lying next to him. Go is found by Gen, who was tracking an alien reading, and
who does
Gen
not
takes
know who
him-
the Ultra Brothers are, which is going to be
Gen
important for the
doesn't know
fun
who
of this episode.
Hideki Go is. He doesn't know who Hideki Go is. He's like, who's this weird guy in this weird outfit? He seems to come up as an alien. So he takes Go away, but he leaves the Pokeball behind. When Go recovers at the sports center, he tries to communicate to Gen that he needs the Pokeball, but they both suck at charades. Gen doesn't really think to mention the possible alien he found on the beach to Dan. And then Asheran appears and attacks Tokyo. In the chaos...
Actually, I'll wait till the episodes. We're done this summer.
In the chaos, Go grabs a motorbike and heads back to the beach and finds the Pokeball in the possession of his old nemesis, children. The villainous whippersnappers are playing with the ball and Go has to snatch it and then survive getting pelted with stones. Clearly, somewhere in their juvenile minds, they recognize Go as the ancient enemy. Go returns to the battle and meets up with Dan. He passes on the Pokeball, and Dan understands immediately. He throws the ball, and frankly, they didn't have to animate it comically bouncing off the kaiju like that.
It's really funny. Here's a special X show.
Yeah, from the Pokeball appears Sevenger, a giant robot. Sevenger has a 1-minute timer before returning to the ball, and then it needs 50 hours to recharge.
I will contest this later.
Yeah. Sevenger clowns on Asheran for a minute, and then goes back to the ball. Asheran's like, GG, easy, and then spots Gen, Dan, and Go, and recognizes them as the Ultra Brothers. Well, I guess not Gen. And immediately runs away like, nah, no way.
Can I say... My subs, I think, explicitly said decides to get the heck out of there, which I thought was really funny.
Yes. Gen convinces Dan to use his psychokinesis to free Go from the mask, and then Asheran attacks again. Gen turns into Leo, but it's a hard fight. Go decides to transform too, but Dan warns him, you might die if you don't wait until you've recovered fully. There's no time. And Go turns into Ultraman, the sequel to Ultraman, and he's fine. He doesn't die. Leo and Return both defeat the kaiju during the dark of a lunar eclipse. The next day, Gen and Dan see Go off as he returns to what my subs refer to as the Ultra Country.
I assume it's
Go.
Light.
Yeah, Go takes Dan's melted Ultra Eye with him, and hopefully it can be repaired. The end.
Sevenger is friend.
Sevenger is friend. He's a big little guy. It is funny that he just spends a minute wrecking Asheran and then goes back into his Pokeball, and the narrator's like,
he was so close. If only he got a little bit more time, he would have won. And I'm like,
he
I
said
know
if
how these
only
shows
there
work.
was 10 more seconds left.
Yeah, I know
Which,
how these
put a pin
shows
in
work.
that.
It's Avengers never winning a fight. That's not how this works. So yeah, we got the return of Go, who barely says
like
a
a
line
muzzle
in this
mask.
episode. Yeah, in a muzzle mask. And he's here on a mission to give Ultra 7 his old technique back. The Pokeball is back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Will
be
he-
honest, I completely forgot this was a component of Ultra 7.
Of
How
course
could
you
Because it's
forgot.
been
It never
so
happened.
It's been so long.
How could you
Of course you
forget?
forgot.
It's not
He
not
never-
like there wasn't like a 21 episode gap between the second and third use of that.
We counted
gimmick.
up how many times he used it in that whole show, and it was 7.
Yeah.
The numerology arc.
The numerology arc. Now it's at 8. Ruined.
And it's at 8. Well, it's out.
Yeah.
It's not in 7 though. It's outside. of 7, which is fine.
Ironic that
True.
Scavenger would be the 8th time the Ultra Ball was used.
Exactly.
Like
Ultra
Exactly.
79.
Ball. I just said Ultra Ball. Ultra
Ultra
Capsule.
Ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Ultra Ball. You can call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, this episode is kind of standard business as usual.
Yeah. But
I
think
do
it's-
appreciate... Oh, go ahead, Mel.
Oh, you go first.
I feel like this crossover episode is a little bit better about actually highlighting the unique qualities of the Ultras it's depicting. At the very least, like, it's kind of nice to have, like, a 7 specific thing
You
coming back there.
mean maybe it helps that Hideki Go is a guy.
Yeah, that too. And they lean in on, like, oh yeah, like, the human form. of
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Which you can't really do with Hayata, despite the fact they did get him back, the actor.
Yeah.
Mhm. Once again, reminded by this episode that Hideki Go is the tallest man who has ever lived.
Yeah.
You remember when we were like early on in Return of Ultraman when what's her name? Akiko? No.
Mm-hmm.
Was that
Someone.
Whatever.
I have no idea.
Girlfriend was like to go, oh, we need to make sure to get a shirt in your size, and you were like, isn't he just normal size? And then we found out no, he's not. He is the tallest man alive.
He's the tallest man. He's not the tallest man alive, but he's definitely the tallest man in Japan.
Yeah.
What was his actor's name?
Jordan.
Jiradan. I should have remembered that. It's a really good one.
No.
Jiradan height. He was 1.87 meters. Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
In a country where people aren't that tall, it really shows. Yeah, I'm like, this was to me, this was kind of just an okay-ish episode, but that's kind of, I'm like,
Yeah, well, I feel like this wasn't stellar, but I feel like it was still like, it felt like at least had the energy of like a more like standard level Leo episode.
mm-hmm,
Like I felt like we're still like on an upward trajectory from Foxhole.
mm-hmm.
And like the style's been there. And I like seeing Go again. And I like that, despite the fact he's muzzled the entire episode, basically, he still feels like, oh yeah, it's Go, my guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think doubling down on the fact that I appreciate doubling down on the fact that Leo is different.
Yeah.
In him just not knowing who Go is, I'm like, okay, this is him. I want to know how the franchise feels about him and Astra.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out.
We got the rest of the
eventually,
show still. Especially because it clearly is like, oh, now we're introducing the Ultra Brother stuff back into the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Astra's like obviously being used more frequently now.
Mm-hmm.
But
I suppose they have to introduce some new ideas to get over the fact that they got rid of they finished Gen's arc.
now
Dan
Dan is mostly just like a stern mentor.
Yes, although we do get a little bit more of cool Dan later in the third episode that we've got today.
I think it is. I think I'm okay with it. Just rationalizing is like at some point their relation has to mellow out a little bit. I guess like at some point they have to like get that trust there. I guess. I mean, I guess like technically they don't have to.
I was like, they could have. I mean, obviously they weren't going to do this. This was not the original intention. The original intention was not to have this show end with Gen and Dan hating each other. But, they, you know, I do feel like there's been not even like a mellowing, just like, because we haven't actually had a mellowing. We've just had, it's changed. It's just we've turned the page and now he's a different character.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is a shame, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I like that Momoko.
Go for it.
I like that Momoko actually can tell what Go wants.
Oh yeah, Momoko can tell. Momoko's a little bit better at charades.
Yeah.
She's immediately like, oh, I can tell you're a good person.
She's got magic good person sense.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny that Go like does a backflip and steals the ball from the kids and gets pelted by them by rocks.
Yeah.
It's just they've heard about him. They know what he's about. He kills children.
Technically it was Ibuki who did that.
Well, he tries to kill children. Ibuki shot the child. Go tried to strangle him.
Boss, you murdered a child.
Outstanding. Mission complete. Who made this episode?
This episode was made by director Isao Maeda and then writer Bunpei Ai.
Cool. Mel.
Special actor is Junoki. Who designed Asher? And I don't fucking know.
Is this one a mystery?
Yeah, this is a mystery, unfortunately. Scavenger is designed by Tetsuo Osawa. And, of course, the Kankogumai's quote-unquote kaiju club of fans was where they got the idea to bring back the capsule kaiju. Once again, focus testing, ratings boosting efforts.
Mm-hmm. The Brandon Sanderson approach to writing.
Yeah.
A/B testing a novel. Kill somebody. Anyway. Cool. What else is there to say about this
I like the
episode? Eclipse
somersault kill.
It's good. It's a good kill. It makes a change from the beams.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I don't know that I have anything more, but
I thought this episode was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, do we want to talk about another episode of Ultraman Leo?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Specifically this second one.
I guess
episode 35. I'm the Monster Boss, featuring Taisho, the mischievous kaiju.
No, I'm the monster boss.
No, I'm the Monster Boss.
No. I'm the Monster Boss.
Thank you for your email. Toru is dealing with a stupid bully called Miyasaka. Some facts about Miyasaka. 1, his nickname is Little Monster, or Kaiju-kun. 2, he hates his nickname. And 3, Toru does his homework for him, but not anymore. Not after today. Anyway, a pot drops to Earth from outer space and Miyasaka insists it's his and takes it home. Turns out, there's a kaiju in the pot. The kaiju is called Taisho, and he's just a little guy. Please help him out of his pot. Pretty please. He'll do anything if you just twist the blue button on the side. Anything? Even homework? Even homework. Miyasaka frees Taisho and immediately sits him down to do maths homework, and Taisho is like, okay, quick note, I never study and I suck at maths. And Miyasaka's like, I don't care, do it anyway. At school, Miyasaka confidently gets all the answers extremely wrong and keeps rattling the pot to punish Taisho for fucking up the homework. Taisho has 2 things to say to this. 1, I literally told you I suck at maths, and 2,
fuck you, I'm pissing. Taisho pisses all over the floor and on Miyasaka's shoes, and the teacher makes Miyasaka clean this up. He's really annoyed at this and wrings out the sodden cloth directly into the pot, so Taisho is swimming in his own piss.
I did not like this.
What's the matter? Is something the matter? Back home,
Ultraman Rider. What if the monster was in a jar and his own pee got poured on him?
Why, dog? No reason. I just think it would be funny. Back home, Miyasaka wishes for school to disappear, and Taisho's like, aha, finally, something I'm good at. Taisho turns big, stretches, and tears the school building apart. Mac arrives and attacks Taisho, but he wrecks a Maki, and he's like, check me out, I'm popping off. Then Leo arrives, and Taisho gets rolled. Miyasaka twists the red button to summon Taisho back to the pot, and Taisho is like, thanks, bro, you're the best. By the way, just thought you should know, I'm pissing. Miyasaka is really mad about the torrent of piss flowing out of the pot and directly onto him, and he hangs Taisho out to dry. Later, Miyasaka wants to dress up as Leo and Mac with his friends and beat up a kaiju, and he makes Taisho be the kaiju. This
like
is
an
despite
Alien
the
Simon
fact that
built episode.
Yeah. This is despite the fact that Taisho keeps demonstrating that under pressure he will piss. Doesn't come up again. Toru and Kaoru are in a nearby bush for some reason and are both like, wait, that's a real kaiju. We have
to call ice.
We have to call ice. They fetch Gen, but Taisho is already running away from the children beating him up. If only Hideki were here. Taisho causes chaos across town until Mac chase him up a pole or something and start blasting. Miyasaka breaks the red button off the pot and starts feeling a little bad about the fact that Taisho is going to get murdered. Taisho decides he just wants to go home and see his mum, and he promises he'll be good and he'll study hard, and Dan's like, alright, Gen, you heard the man. Take him home. Gen turns into Leo, protects Taisho from Mac, and then carries him up towards space. As he goes, Miyasaka yells his goodbyes, saying that when Taisho visits again, he better be the top student at Kaiju School. Also, stop pissing yourself for fuck's sake. Leo carries Taisho, who does not piss, back to his home planet.
I was really worried. I'm happy you noted that.
Yeah. Said in Muppet Christmas Carol, who does not die. Later, Miyasaka is studying hard and getting a maths question incredibly wrong. His mother promises to hire a tutor. Also, here, that pot you found makes a great vase. The episode visually invokes piss one last time as Miyasaka pours the water in the vase out the window directly onto Gen. Miyasaka tries to talk to the missing Taisho in the pot, and finally he tells Gen to call him Little Monster. The end. How you like this one?
It was fun.
I probably would like it more if it wasn't so piss-filled.
You didn't like the piss scenes?
No, I didn't.
I didn't like the piss. I did think it was fun in spite of that.
I fucking lost my mind when he pissed on the floor and then he squeezed the piss out on top of him. What the fuck are we doing?
Just into the pot with him.
Yeah.
Just sitting in there.
What I really thought was gonna happen is the kid was gonna be accused of like peeing all over the floor.
That's also what I thought.
That
was
is also what I thought. Because it's like the stock thing to do.
Yeah.
And then that just didn't happen. Instead, it just teacher's just like, what the hell is all this? Clean this up.
Not questioning why he has a pot to begin with.
Not questioning why he has a pot. Not questioning where that smell of piss is coming from.
Do you call out the smell of ammonia specifically?
Yeah, but not the teacher. Not anyone else in the room.
Yeah.
Just like him. Yeah. So yeah, this is a piss themed episode. A second piss episode has hit the Ultra podcast, the Ultra Q podcast.
Seiji Hokuto coded.
Yeah, this one's not as good as the last piss episode. The last piss episode was actually pretty good,
despite being an ace episode.
So, maybe if we get a third piss episode, we'll start rating these.
The Winter Piss series.
The Winter Piss series.
Every episode piss themed, but like not very piss themed. Just like you know, the episode writers have been told, yeah, this is the piss season, and they've been like, okay, I'll throw
One
in a
of them
scene
has
where
them going
someone
to
pees.
a water park.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's 2 episodes in a row about like chickens.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
after 5 episodes after the piss series, there's an episode that's actually about piss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, some unrelated piss episode.
It's more about piss than the actual piss series.
Exactly.
That's the real show, Ultraman way.
Man, watching a lot of Ultraman will fry your fucking brain.
It will.
I feel like we're the only ones that have the opinions we have, which is crazy.
I stand by our opinions, especially our skip list.
Well, yes.
I do not stand. I do not stand by the skip list. I disavow the skip list.
No, I'm doubling down on my support for the skip list. That's the wisest we've ever been.
Civil War.
Yeah, the Ultra Q podcast separating over disagreements about
if you
the
disavow
original skip
the
list.
skip list, you basically are admitting that you love lying to people.
I do love lying to people. I love doing that.
The split in the Ultra Q podcast will lead to the continuity Ultra Q podcast and the real continuity podcast. Ultra Q podcast.
Yeah. It's three separate podcasts will start. So
and one of them will last until like the future when the Gundams are happening somehow.
Yes. True. So, the rest of this episode that is not about piss.
I think
it's pretty good.
I think maybe it is fun. Maybe this. I think I was like a bit. There's part of me that like, is this like our joke about like displaced themed episodes? Is like, is this like a secret folklore series episode that's just like based off Aladdin or something?
Like, is there some piss themed like folklore creature?
No, I just meant like Aladdin.
Okay.
Hey, maybe that made me like primed to be more down in the episode because I was like, oh man, we're getting back to like a real Leo, and and I was like, oh, is this the Return of Foxhole? But I guess it's like better than those episodes.
Has there ever been an Aladdin adaptation where someone pissed in the genie pot?
Probably not. I'd hope not.
Yeah.
But this felt to me like an Ultra Q episode almost a little bit with how
like
little
a Canagon?
the actual
Canagon maybe?
Yeah, like kind of Canagon coded.
Or maybe like a Return of Ultraman Yamaterans a bit.
Yeah, like the getting big to destroy the school thing felt like a logical conclusion of like, oh, this kid is kind of a little bit of a shit and like is bullying around this other very immature kaiju. And the logical conclusion of, well, we don't want to do homework, so what if the school was gone?
Yeah.
And then and then you get the good scenes of the kids all like,
life is so boring now that we don't have school and homework. Yeah. And I'm like, thank you, show writers who definitely had an agenda writing this episode.
Yeah. But then I love how they're like, oh, do you want to play these games? And they're like, no, I don't want to think like that. Like they're like, oh, come up with a riddle or something. It's like, no, I don't want to think like that. So they just decide to play Mac and beat the shit out of each other and chase each other around.
Yeah.
Funny.
You know what? Maybe I think I've been convinced actually this episode's pretty alright. I think maybe I was like maybe more harsher than they could have been in my mind accidentally, just because I was like, we just got a folk slop, and my mind was like.
I do think anytime we get a episode where it's not, oh no, big monster just attacking, it does feel a little bit like a breath of fresh air, and I'm probably nicer to it than I should be. I think I was just like, I did like it being the silly little guy.
I think I was just like worried, like, oh, are we doing back to the thing we're doing? We're doing goofy Taro pilled episodes without like accounting for the fact, like, oh yeah, they had episodes like that before Taro that were like pretty good and fun.
I definitely think this is probably a little bit of that. They probably were like, oh, let's try something silly in the vein of Taro again.
Yeah. Mix it up. I guess I'd rather have those episodes like space spread out rather than just like, oh, here's a block of episodes that are all mid.
Yeah, no, I feel ya. I also, again, I like when we have a kaiju that has a personality and talks. It's fun.
That does help.
You can do a lot more.
Help. I do think I think one thing that I like about like this sort of like contrast, I guess, is like you get the scene of like the kids sicking the kaiju on the school and destroying it, and it's all very goofy and whimsical playing, and then like a Mac rolls in and you cut to the Mac perspective and it's like all military commando style, like this all serious.
Yeah.
And it's just like a fun contrast of like there's like a goofy guy being like bending to the whims of a child, and meanwhile for very reasonable reasons the military guys who have no idea are treating the same as any other kaiju situation.
Yeah. I like him like it's King Kong climbing up the thing and they're all shooting at him, and he's just up there just going like, I want to see my mummy. I want to go home.
I like that. I like his jump of logic. That he's like, oh, if I need help, I just need to call Leo, right? Ultraman, save me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. He's like, Ultraman, Leo, save me.
It's a good thing this was in Hayata's show, because he was like, oh, we'll make sure you don't have any problems ever again.
Oh yeah. he's just like, help you. I can give you peace.
Yeah, don't worry, baby Bolton. I'll make sure you'll be able to see your grandfather again.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'm like this is all right. I think I like the kaiju. I think the Miyasaka's like okay. I'm you know, it works. I'm not super high on the episode. But I think it's all right.
Stronger children of the week.
The child of the week.
Yeah.
I do think it's fucked up how ready Kaoru and Toru are to like sick the cops on aliens.
It's there. I don't know why they're there. I don't know why they're in that bush. They're just hanging out, just spying.
Actually, it's
on
kind
their
of fucked up
friends.
that like Toru like was disillusioned with Leo and Mac when they killed his alien friend, and now he's like the most eager to be like, oh, this person is like an alien. We have to call the cops on him.
So true. So he's just like, so long as if it's my friend, it's a good alien. If it's if the alien is a friend of the guy who picks on me, nah, bro.
But he also was like the first to go, oh, we should call the cops on like that psychic child that may or may not have been Dan's child with Anne. Yeah.
True.
So maybe it's just like a case of like Dan's brainwashing worked on him.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Man, remember when the best episode of this show was the Toru episode? Well, one of them.
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking of again?
The one where like
I'm thinking of the one where
early on where like he has a complex about his dad being killed.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. The generations slapping each other.
It was the fucking knife alien one, wasn't it?
Well, no,
that was the knife alien episode. Oh no, it was the sword alien episode.
Yeah, the sword alien, where like the alien's technique was the ultra slugger.
So yes,
and like Leo was like getting stabbed in the back while shielding the car, and Toru had a realization.
Yeah, his dad did get cut in half though, right?
Yeah, because that was the knife alien.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The one of the most important bits of that episode though. Is the device. That's the episode with the fucking where he's doing karate against the device.
Yes. All time moment.
Yeah, from like 6:59 to 7.
From 6:59. That video is there's so many jokes in that video, and the last one kills me. The transition from 6:59 through to 7 a.m. is really, it's like playing a video game. It's like, turns out
montage theory is good, useful for doing a lot of rapid fire jokes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Who made this episode?
This one was also directed by Isao Maeda and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi, which also, I believe Maeda did the episode on the Alien Clean stuff. So I feel like they're giving him a lot of these, like, Children of the Week episodes, actually.
Ah, okay. I see. I understand.
Also got the one with the aliens that are like, oh, I need help healing my grandfather again with the robot.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that one entirely.
That was a pretty good one, if I'm remembering it correctly.
Do we have what do we have to say about this episode?
I have my stuff.
Anything else?
Oh, then written by
your
Shigemitsu
stuff.
Taguchi. I don't think I said that.
I'm
No,
stupid.
I completely forgot, honestly. So
We have both.
I'm
Mel,
always
we've
forgotten.
both failed you.
Cry. Anyway, Special Officer is Jinoki and Taisho's designed by Tetsuo Osawa. So, same duo as last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That we have names of, because
Cool.
we fucking don't know who made Ashurin.
Yeah. Ashurin is like... gotta be a really... Here's the thing. The designer feeling like, yeah, I'm feeling good about this. The person in the suit sees that and is like, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. It's like
We are not doing what I think we're doing.
it's like a really complicated demon design that's like, you have the blue face on one side, the red face on the other.
Yeah, it's like this two face. It's like, but it's like a full body on either side. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
You should do
And it's like-
they should do the Kikaider thing.
What's the Kikaider thing?
Let me show you Kikaider.
I think I've seen Kikaider, but I don't know what the actual deal with. Like, I haven't seen the movie Kikaider, but I
just the I just meant the design, which would be obvious.
I've
when I
seen
show it.
the evil and the good. I've seen the good and the justice and evil clip.
That's from Hackhider.
Oh, I'm stupid. Right.
How
Oh,
could
this
you get
guy.
those two
Yes, this guy.
confused?
Yeah,
Um,
it's like,
yeah,
it's a very obvious mistake you made that I can't believe you did that.
Uh-huh. Hakaida's from Kikaider, right?
Yes, Hackhider is like the rival to Kikaider,
Uh-huh.
and then they made like a spin-off. Like the movie Hackhider is like a weird reimagining.
Uh-huh.
Where, yeah,
Which has an incredible scene that everyone on Twitter and Blue Sky
Yes.
is always posting.
it's a cool scene.
If you are justice, I am evil. Ignites flower.
Yeah,
Do we have anything more to say about this episode?
Nope.
That sounds like a no. I don't
No.
have anything.
no,
it's alright.
I think we wrung that towel pretty well.
Yeah, directly into a pot with a guy
Oh,
in it, and now he's
no.
swimming in it.
That's every time we upload the podcast, that's what we're doing to you, listener.
Please.
We're making you swim
You're
in the
the
metaphorical
jar.
piss of our opinions.
They're just wringing out the towel of Ultra Q onto your ears.
They call me the drink.
Episode 36.
You're not the drink, you're the jar.
Yeah. No, that's different liquid. Episode 36. Fly. The Leo brothers save the space base.
Yeah.
Featuring Astra and alien Atlanta. Earth. The emerald of space.
Yeah,
Constantly
No,
Like
it's
like-
not. Shut the fuck up.
It's in the lyrics. It's in the lyrics of the first OP, the good one.
Yeah. Constantly under threat from envious aliens. I was about to invent a new Ultraman kaiju called Alien Envious.
You know what? There will be one.
Yeah. To combat these threats, Mac is expanding its operations and will need to transport Mac uranium to the space station to meet
I
the
lost
energy
my
demands.
fucking mind when I said this. What do you
Mac
mean
uranium. Mac's
Hey, don't
own
worry
special
about it.
uranium.
As opposed to other kinds of uranium.
Yeah. The Mac director is overseeing this operation himself. It's that important. Dan selects Gen for the task of transporting the uranium by Mackie. This will be dangerous work, as aliens might try to interfere. Mac detects a UFO and launches to intercept, but find that it's a damaged human ship. It crash lands, and an astronaut escapes from the wreck. At the hospital, Gen learns that the ship was sent on a journey to planet Atlanta 3 years ago and fell out of contact with Earth.
Gen reflects that Atlanta is a planet full of dangerous, evil aliens, and he doubts a human could return from there alive. Alright, racist? Who the fuck is your problem?
So I was like, damn, someone went to Georgia once and had a lot of strong opinions about
I was like, all right. He's like one of those people that's never lived in a city in their life and react to the idea of going near a city like, you're gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
My mom, every time I go to a fucking fighting game event.
Oh man. I live in I told the story about the brick going through the window of my place, right?
I forget. No?
Okay, a brick went through the window of the room above me when I was living in on the edge of like a rough area of town. And I was like, this was at like 7 a.m. in the morning, and I heard people reacting, and I heard someone say like, I'll call the police, and I was like, I'm going back to sleep. And I was like, one, I'm going back to sleep. Two, I am not telling any of my family about this. They're gonna react like I'm personally in danger. And I then got up a few hours later and talked to the people, say, you call the, do you call the police? And say, yeah, I called the police. And say, you give them a description of the guy and say, yeah, it's a guy of average height, wearing like a dark hoodie. And I was like, well, I'll get right on that. Anyway, those, where was I? Oh, yeah. Gen reflects that Atlanta is a planet full of dangerous, evil aliens, and he doubts a human could return from there alive. As it turns out, this astronaut is more than alive. He's perfectly healthy. There's not a scratch on him from the wreck. Suspicious. The Mac director and his daughter Ayako come to visit the astronaut and are stunned. It's Uchida, Ayako's fiancé. The director introduces Uchida to the Mac officers who rescued him, and so he meets Gen. Gen knows just from looking that Uchida is alien Atlanta, and psychically, Uchida confirms this by identifying Gen as Leo. He urges Gen to silence, or else he will reveal his and his captain's secret. Gen informs Dan as soon as possible, and Dan is like, well, that fucking sucks. He's been assigned to Mac by the director. He's a part of the delivery operation. The next day, on site for the delivery, Gen almost hits Uchida when Uchida claims he just wants to protect the universe's peace. Same as you, Gen. The delivery operation gets underway, and Uchida uses his alien Atlanta eye beams to sabotage Gen's controls. I assume everyone in Atlanta can do this. And he's forced to land. When no mechanical fault is found in Gen's Mackie, he is suspended by the director for his incompetence. Who will deliver the uranium now? Uchida volunteers. The director gives him the job and reveals that the operation will continue tomorrow. This is a reveal somehow? I might need to have this explained to me. Everyone else leaves, and Gen and Dan are left alone. Dan realizes what Uchida's plan must be. He must intend to use the uranium delivery to blow up the Mac space station. Dan's like,
we should remember it's in space this time.
It's in space this time. They've remembered it's in space. Dan's like, alright, I've been asleep at the wheel for a minute. No more fucking around. Gen, let's kill him. Dan's back. Welcome back, Moroboshi Dan.
I lost it when he said this.
We just gotta kill him. It's great. There's a small problem with this plan, though. Gen feels really bad about making Ayako sad. After spying on her and Uchida for a bit, he meets Momoko in a park late at night. He's like, hey, Momoko, weird question, but hypothetically, how would you feel if I was an alien? And Momoko
would you
says,
still love me if I was a worm?
Yeah. Yes, Momoko says, yes, of course, I'd still love you if you were a worm. I mean an alien. I said, what about an evil alien? And Momoko's response is, yeah, I mean, you could be evil and kill loads of humans. So long as you love me, that would be fine. This might be the first time the idea of love has come up between the two. Incredible way to do it. For her to be like, yeah, you could be evil. That would be all right.
Even the children.
Yeah. Gen confronts Dan and says he can't go through with the assassination plan. Dan calls him a fool but recognizes his determination. All right, Gen, leave it to me. Everything will turn out fine.
As the delivery operation is about to begin, news reaches Mac that Ayako has mysteriously fallen ill. I wonder how that could have happened. Dan tells Uchida he wouldn't expect any officer to fly a dangerous mission like this with such a thing weighing on their mind. Uchida, you go to Ayako. I will fly the Maki. Uchida realizes he's been played. He tries to drive somewhere fast, but Gen is on his tail. Eventually, they stop and get into a fistfight, with Gen demanding to know what Uchida has done to Ayako. They transform into Alien Atlanta and Leo, and then Atlanta. This is where the summary kind of breaks down into just like reporting the action a little bit. Atlanta pursues Dan in the Maki with all the uranium in space, approaching the space station. Atlanta catches Dan's Maki, but Dan is saved by the appearance of Astra. While Astra deals with the uranium situation, Leo brings Atlanta back to Earth where they fight. Astra then gets involved, and the Leo brothers wreck Atlanta. The day is saved. The brothers shake hands, and Astra heads back to his secret place in space. Later, on patrol, Gen asks Dan if he's the reason Ayako fell ill. Dan's like, who could say? I could say. It was absolutely him with psychokinesis.
We saw it.
Gen's less mad about this than I expected. He's like, oh, you rascal. Anyway, they spot the director and Ayako. Gen wants to talk to them, but Dan thinks they should leave. The director spots them before they can get away and shouts for Gen. He says thank you for everything, and from a distance, Ayako gives Gen a bow. Gen and Dan head off, and we finish on a shot of the deep red setting sun. The end.
Banger episode.
This episode's a banger. Anytime when the alien shows up and is like, I know you're Ultraman, and you know I'm the alien.
I like this as a twist on, like, you know, Gen tries to kill a child episode.
Yes. This is Dan being like, okay, we have to kill him. He said, we can't kill him. Dan being like, okay, well, I'm going to convince you have to kill him by injuring his fiance.
He's psychically kidnapping, basically.
Dan's so evil this episode. I love him.
You should fucking like use psychic waves to like make her sick.
It's so good.
It is funny. He's like, oh yeah, we gotta kill him.
It's pretty good.
We gotta kill this guy, Stephen.
Yeah.
But I do like that, like the wrinkle of, like, you know, the child was like in the previous in the Go one, he's like a child, and that was like the stakes. In this one, it's like the trusted astronaut who is like recruited into Mac, and now it's like he's a guy in Mac, and there's like bureaucratic reasons that both both Gen and Dan can't deal with it. And I think the fact that it's also like there's two Ultraman here who can't do anything about this is interesting.
Yeah. I also like the simplicity of the plans, both of the plans. They're very straightforward, they're very realistic. They both could work, right? Where the alien is like, well, yeah, I'm going to trick everyone into giving me the job of flying the uranium, and then I'm just going to use that to blow up Mac base. That's like that's not one of these like super complicated plans that requires like such absurd luck. That's like, you know, that's a pretty good plan. And then Dan's plan in reverse, well, first of all, we'll kill him, but then the follow-up plan of like knocking out Ayako, and then that moment where he's like telling Uchida, you don't have to fly this. And Uchida's like, no, I should. And Dan's like, no, I wouldn't expect any of my officers to fly under this condition. And the sort of like, yeah, you've been played. It's good. It's cool.
Especially because like the personal connection with the chief, who's the one who got him on.
Yes.
That thing. And like obviously
this maybe wouldn't work if it wasn't the director watching this, who is the father of Ayako and is like, maybe we should go check on my daughter.
Especially because you're my fiance. You're like, you know, my fiance.
Are you supposed to care about her? I don't think you should fly this. You're going to be really stressed out.
I also like we see the return of Science Patrol transports dangerous material for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess come to think of it, last episode was like the return of a weird rock of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
The Mac uranium is ridiculous.
Why is it Mac
What do they
uranium?
mean by that? What do they mean? Do they just mean uranium like from a source that belongs to Mac?
That might just be it.
That's what I assumed.
So now I'm thinking about like Mac as like an arm of imperialism, like they own uranium mines in Africa.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds like Mac to me.
I guess the other like less cool answer would be like, oh yeah, like there's different like kinds of uranium based on how many neutrons it has. Like,
And one of them it was discovered by Mac.
Yes,
I see. That's a possibility. I like the answer where they're evil.
Yeah, I like that one.
As always,
Same.
we like the answer where the Ultra team is evil.
Yeah, and then the blue team from Double Zeta has to kick them out of the uranium mines.
Oh yeah. That'd be good.
And they'll be helped by Acidified Chaliable.
Well, I was gonna say they would ultimately fail because Ultraman would show up and wreck them, and it would
Yeah.
everyone would be sad and then would go about their lives like nothing happened.
Yeah, I'd be like,
Only the words are beautiful.
yeah. My mind, worst possible pull, but my mind went to like Dr. Manhattan in Vietnam and like the Watchmen.
Man,
we need that
Watchmen.
take on Ultraman.
I mean, we kind of do. We had the non-malt, right?
Yeah.
We had we just need more Ultraman writers to wake up to this fact.
Yeah, Ultraman going fucking celestial being.
Absolutely.
Ide goes full Rorschach mode.
It's time. Well, yeah. Man. Our Ultraman would be so good. They should let us make the next Ultraman kids movie for kids.
Just
and
imagine the Boltons smuggling arms to like a third world revolutionary movement, and then Ultraman has to like stuff.
Oh my god.
They do the suck scene in the Mackie, and then they hit the flamethrower button, and it's like, oh damn, they saved the oil for that one, huh? Not the fights.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be an Ultraman where anyone fucks. But I guess we'll see if
Fucking
there's
isn't
does.
allowed in Ultraman.
Feel like a oddly fuckless universe.
Despite the fact that Gento is a dad.
Yeah.
He found another way. He didn't
so
want
is-
to have to
so is
interact with his
Dan.
wife.
I've decided in my mind that was Dan's kid.
Maybe, you know what? Based on this episode, maybe he just used psychokinesis.
Here's a thing that I didn't bring up on the episode about Dan's kid, who isn't Dan's kid. However, his clothes were red and his skin was silver.
Yeah.
Which is the reverse of what we have come to understand is a possibility about the Ultramen.
Oh, I see.
I mean, that
But
is
if we
like that's what Ultra 7 looks like, though. Well, obviously, ignoring that the red is skin.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the actual thing going on is that his clothes were red because that's like the jacket and stuff, and his face was silver because the Ultramen faces are silver.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the difference between clothing and flesh, the silver on the child was the flesh.
Yeah.
Which raises some interesting ideas about what is flesh and what is not on an Ultraman. As you know.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Astra has like that handcuff does seal the deal on if there's any differentiation. The red has to be flesh. Anyway. What else is going on in this episode? Yeah, I enjoy the sort of subterfuge aspect of this stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it was neat.
I thought it was funny that this alien was called Atlanta.
Yeah.
I did too. The car chase sequence where they're just whipping left to right was ridiculous.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, I was like, there is so much. I don't know why you're doing this. There's so much. Like you're in a huge lot. It looks like
They did not have a good place to film a real car chase. They just had to film on open ground and just film them whipping back and forth. It was very silly. You do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the actor for Uchida. I think he's got a good. He puts in a good bit of menace.
I think it is funny that I made a post about this. I think it is funny that like after they just kind of put everyone in Mac in like red tier, that only Dan and Gen have numbers on the back of their jackets.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
It's also funny that Gen has a 7 on the back of his.
Gen has a 7?
Yeah.
That's
Dan
silly.
has 1
That's
and
fun.
Gen has 7.
I suppose, Dan can't be too obvious.
Yeah. It is funny that they do introduce the now recurring Mac members by name in this episode as if they're real characters.
Yeah, they yeah. Bring back Aoshima.
I don't remember these guys' names.
Aoshima was our one guy. He was the one face of Mac in its entirety. And then
it's funny because
they fired literally every. I don't know why they got rid of all the actors for Mac and replaced them with new ones. What happened? Why did they do that?
It's funny that they had one guy who was a guy of the week, and then he just came back as a recurring guy.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if there's a story to that, like, because imagine if you signed on early on and you just thought you were gonna be around like the other ones were in the other show, and then you kind of weren't. I'd be kind of pissed.
Especially as like they didn't get rid of Mac, they wholesale replaced you with a new Mac. What was the point? It's not like they're more involved now.
And it's not like there was enough of like, because I could see in an alternate world where maybe they did more like team focused stuff early on, where they're like, there's just something not working about the chemistry of the people we've got, or like we just don't don't think it's a good fit, whatever. I don't even think we got to that point where there was enough Mac oriented stuff for them to make that shot. They just kind of kept getting rid of everyone, unless people just kept walking off, but I don't know why they do that in such droves either.
Yeah, I do think the restructure Mac was like said to be a budget reason, which I don't get, but
Are these just all cheaper actors?
I guess.
Did they get a bunch of scabs?
Did they? It's possible.
Yeah.
If I am to assume a country that has more scabs by proportion of workforce, I just have to assume it's Japan.
It'll be up there. Anyway. Yeah. The fight kicks off and it's like, well, now we're in regular Ultraman again.
It starts off with some dogfighting though.
It does. This is true. But ultimately the actual Alien Atlanta fight is a little, this guy's like cool, right? He should put in a good showing, and he kind of doesn't.
I do like the sequence of him flying towards the whatever with the thing in hand. But
this is true.
Yeah. Well, what's he? Sorry, he's flying towards. Was it the uranium supply or the base?
The uranium is in the plane.
Yes, the uranium is in the plane. And he's flying it to blow up the base. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's what I couldn't remember if it was like the uranium had been transported and now he wants to blow it up, or if it was in there. But yeah,
we're jumping off of Mac base.
Yeah.
They've been flying around a lot more, I feel like. Maybe not, actually.
Maybe it's cheaper. It's just a little model.
It's little miniatures on like tiny thin rods and wires. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Gen is extremely not crashing the plane to transform Pilt.
This is true.
They do not have the budget to crash as many planes. First Ultraman to depict Mac having a budget by having a low budget.
Speaking of budget, this reminds me. So I was taking
Life imitates art.
Yeah.
I recently caught on to this thing that's going around in model kit circles a little bit, but I can't remember the name of it, but there's one company that is doing like reproduction model kits of the actual models used for like filming the miniatures on like Star Wars movies and stuff. Like if you want a Return of the Jedi AT-ST model that articulates the way that they use to actually make those shots happen in the movie, like there's a company out there doing that work. And I was curious, like, okay, how much are one of these? And it's like, it's a lot. Like those are pricey. And it did make me wonder, like, how, like, every time they do like a little miniature like this that needs to like kind of move around a little bit. I mean, a lot of the times you do see them, especially when they're flying, like that Ultraman they have for flying around is like a static thing, like you're not moving that. But it did make me wonder for some of these miniatures, like, God, like how much are they paying for some of those? Like, if it's articulated at all, it probably was a good chunk of the budget. But
yeah. Well, do we have who made this episode?
Yeah, that was the thing I was gonna say.
This episode was made by Sei Okamura and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
Good job.
Yeah.
From everyone.
Best Fox director, Yoshiyuki Yoshimura. Atlanta by Tetsuo Osawa.
Atlanta was made by Tetsuo Osawa. In like a day. The whole city.
Yeah, he was like, we need a white-only colony.
Yeah.
To stop the Spanish Floridians.
Is that how Atlanta happened? Well, you read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they made Georgia.
That's why they made Georgia.
It didn't work. But I guess it worked out in the end, question mark. For some people.
Yeah.
I mean, the real truth is that Atlanta, it's wake up, people, it's Atlantis, but just like moved.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You read about what Atlantis is, which is like the story of like this tyrannical empire, the island empire, and then for being evil, the island sank. And I'm like, oh, Britain's future. As the oceans rise. I was, yeah.
Shout outs to the opening line of the 1982 Conan the Barbarian movie being between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the son of Arias.
Oh, that's so cool.
It goes so hard.
That's so cool. I should watch that movie.
I should watch it too.
It's a fun time. It's goofy.
I think it's
a great pulpy time.
I still think it's really funny that like the first or second episode of the show, you have like Dan just screaming, Japan is gonna sink.
Japan will sink.
Turns to the camera.
It's not how islands work, guys. They're held up by like a little pillar. That's what happens to islands.
Yeah, like
islands
Bionicle.
float. Islands, yeah, like Bionicle. Like you shatter the thing and the island comes down, and you've got to have Motoro race down there with the mask.
Yeah, and everyone gets like somehow turned into you can only breathe water.
Yeah,
through like some mutagen.
We might be done talking about this episode.
I think we are.
Talking about creeping my soul. Anyway, yeah.
I think I might be a little bit cooler on this one, but I do think it's neat.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely my favorite of the three.
It's definitely definitely the best of the episode this week.
I just feel like this one I don't got a lot to like say or think about.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about I think about Dan's psychic imposition on some woman as part of the plan.
Yeah, that was definitely the part I latched onto the most.
It's like it's like real like women aren't people core
to just be like, he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna knock her out, and that's no one's really
That'll
no
solve the problem.
One, that will solve the problem. Like, one, that will work for the plan. All right, and I'm like, I can see how that works for the plan. But two, no one will really mind that you did this. Like, no one will even have to admit that it worked. Like Gen will find out and just be like, oh, you precocious rapscallion, you quirky old man Dan, you knocking out women.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyway, Mel, do you have maybe more counters for us than usual this week?
Yes. First of all, color timers. Episode 31, 2 minutes 8 seconds, but also for Shin Man, 4 minutes 16 seconds, 55 seconds, and 21 seconds. Then 32, 1 minute 24 seconds, 1 minute 33 seconds. Episode 33, cool. 3 minutes 28 seconds, and Astra gets 2 minutes 30 seconds. And then the return of a fan favorite segment, the Capsule Countdown, episode 31, Scavenger, 1 minute 12 seconds.
That's longer than a minute.
Let the record show the narrator was like, so close. Scavenger can only stay for 1 minute. If only he was around for 10 more seconds.
That's pretty good. Excellent. Do we have any emails?
Let me check. I know we had at least one. We have one.
Shoot.
From Tep.
Hello, Tep.
Hello.
An expert's Leo take.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with the Pope. The new one.
Oh, yeah, true.
Hello, HQ.
Ultraman Leo the 14th.
Yeah. My busy season beginning with Easter coincidentally coincided with probably the weakest stretch of Leo episodes, so I haven't caught up with the pod, but I want to email anyway. Fun selection this week. They thoroughly enjoyed, I will say, editorializing their Go Pup Mass episode. The Taicho episode is entertaining enough, but the standout is the Atlanta episode, which is probably my favorite Ultra take on alien takes on the form of a human trope. The scene where Momoko tells Gen she would love him even if he was an evil alien. Being transformed in the context from aspiration to something that conflicts Gen is good. As is Mean Dan. Yeah, we like Mean Dan.
We like Mean Dan.
Like I said, I haven't listened to your coverage yet, but I have some comments to make on Dan and Anne's quote-unquote faded reunion. I assume you weren't too hot on it. Correct.
We were sort of confused about it. We were sort of puzzled why any of the decisions involved with it had been made.
Apparently, according to Tep, it's one of the most consistently and universally criticized Ultraman episodes I'm aware of.
I'd believe it.
This is due to the lack of closure and resolution and the feeling that the writer squandered an opportunity to do something interesting. Dan and Anne.
Yeah, I think that's literally what I said.
That is very literally what Brad said.
That being said, Tep concedes is one of their favorite episodes. Fundamentally, parentheses, this is a sexist show, close parentheses. It's not about Anne at all. It's about Dan. And for me, Koji Moritsuku's performance carries the episode. Where Dan assumes, quote-unquote, Anne is Uri's parent, and so that she is an alien after the flashback to Dan accepting. Dan accepting Dan where he tells her he's not human. You get the sense that Dan's world's turned upside down. Anne accepted him as an alien, but can he accept her as one? It's really interesting commentary on Dan's character in the show, and his view of himself, and his view on aliens in general. Also, there's lots of shots of Dan Margoshi looking sad with his big wet beautiful eyes. Perhaps I like the episode because I want Dan and his big divorce energy through the roof. It was an episode I looked forward to on rewatch, and one I thoroughly enjoyed, even if I get people often disliked. Anyway.
There's like, I think one of the I hadn't considered the Dan's feelings about alien stuff here, but I'm still sort of like, you gotta pick one of these and go with it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's like some. I do think that there's value in like Dan's performance and the confusion there, but I do think like the fact that the show is like wishy-washy with Anne herself is like brings it down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think I'm someone who. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that's where you can see the waste potential, because like, oh yeah, you can get a lot. You probably could get a lot more of Dan if these were like more concrete things he had to wrestle with, rather than like a really vague and uncommittal things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm definitely a believer in like a good performance can only do so much if the material just ain't it. And that's kind of how I felt about this one.
Mm. Anyway,
they ask if I should like it to get into Gundam, what is the Ultraman Leo of Gundam? I feel like we've answered this on the podcast a bit.
Did we answer this on the what did we decide?
We kept joking it was Victory, but I don't know if I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
the answer I think I have is that Gundam is too consistent with its premise to ever have an Ultraman Leo. We don't have anything that well, maybe Wing.
Wing is maybe the Leo, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to be superficial, G is like the martial arts Gundam.
That is true. There are better martial arts shows, though.
Yeah.
You
With
could
actual
be watching,
tournaments.
You could watch Dragon Ball.
Yeah. But also, G's still a great time.
Which I know. I mean,
third best Gundam.
Maybe I don't know.
Wait, what the fuck did you just say?
It's the third best Gundam.
What? Okay. You can't. You listen. I understand.
This is entirely the thing that got me into mecha anime as a wee lad. You need to keep in mind.
The moment the mics are off, it's a fist fight.
That's fine.
That's all right.
G is okay, in my view. There's plenty of toxic yaoi in Gundam, though.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. You gotta hop on Gundam. There is toxic yaoi cinema.
You know what? IBO. That's a good That's a good codependent toxic yaoi right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. True.
Actually,
combined with a weird polycule.
I can't wait to rewatch IBO.
Me neither.
It's a great time.
Fucking anyway.
That show got way too many haters for how good it is.
Yeah, I definitely have too many people who are like dislike it and can be a bit annoying, in my opinion.
That show made me. Anytime someone says the term plot armor, I want to tell them to shut the fuck up.
I'm just like
the reaction to that show is a huge reason why.
I'm just like I watched the show and like, oh yeah, this is the sauce, and then I listened to the Ghost Diver season. I was like, oh yeah, I'm vindicated in having the sauce.
I have been watching Macross 7. Yeah. I've been watching it for a while now. I got to an episode that had such an incredible, just electric moment of like a Basara and a Neki Basara and a Gamlin moment with fucking like a huge music beam to protect Gamlin with, and I was like, this is so good. Yeah. I can't believe this is amazing. I love this show so much. I look up online to find out how people feel about this episode, and I find people being like, why can what do the beams do exactly? Why can they just do anything? And I'm like, shut up, nerd.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. The genuine answer is, if you're into yaoi, Gundam is like a genuine classic, like Mobile Suit Gundam. The original Gundam has the beginnings of like one of the big pairings of all time.
And even the new show airing, like, it's like the marketing's all around like the Yuri, but like there's also like the element of
the Charlia stuff.
Yeah, they elevated like a one-off character from the first show, and now he's like a yearner for a different character from the original show, and it's good.
I've been like avoiding talking about because like it's all. I figured we'd probably just save it. Yeah, it's all done. I really fucking love it, G-Quack so far. Every week I'm going more up on it. We'll presumably do
some form of spoilery discussion thingamajig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we did with the G-Witch. But
yeah. Tap, I believe you have it in you to be a little bit, have like a little bit brain normal about Shah Aznable.
Unfortunately, I am subjected to people who are not now a lot more now on my timeline.
Listen. Even the people that we disagree with about Shah Aznable can agree with us about some of it.
Yeah. I posted that thing I found about Shar's counterattack that I was like, oh, that's a good point, and I even got a few replies of people being kind of dumb. I was like, I'm just not going to respond anymore.
This is the one downside of it. On the one hand, we've given you recommendations for watching, Gundam. On the other hand, you could maybe avoid that fan base. It's fine. They're annoying.
Yeah.
The more I dig into what fans in Japan and Korea have to say about Gundam, the more I get deeply upset at the level of discussion around Gundam in America and I guess English speaking internet.
I'd like to hear more of that then. You just saw that stuff my way.
Yeah, I honestly a lot of it is just even looking at what is written on, because Pixiv has its own little user submitted tag explanation wiki thing, and there's other places or whatever, but even Japanese articles on hey, what's a new type has very specific breakdowns of here's the idea and interpretation of new type by creator, and also here's what some well-known TV critics have said its thematic meaning is, and I'm just this is so much richer and better understanding of
genetic
the
type,
than...
new type.
I think it says a lot that you had to make a tweet on Blue Sky that was basically the effect of Zeon and the Zabis being different things is still too much for most people in the West. I'm talking about
the Char Neo Zeon article, section of Zeon on Japanese Wikipedia, basically spells out this almost has nothing to do with the former Zeon movements, ideologically speaking, and I'm this would blow some people's minds.
Yeah.
Anyway,
being a Gundam fan is suffering, but yeah,
being a Gundam fan is suffering in a way that is the moment it comes up, we spin off into it immediately.
Yeah,
as we have done just now.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we aren't doing a Gundam podcast.
No, absolutely not. Anyway.
Thank you for your email.
Is there more? Thank you for your email.
For your email.
Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email. Is that it for the episode?
Yeah.
In which case, you can follow us online at ultra_QUEUE on Twitter and at ultraQUEUE on Blue Sky. No underscore on Blue Sky. I am also on Blue Sky at Red November. Mal, your plugs.
Hi, Dick Rounds at Dick Rounds, Twitter and Blue Sky. We have an email, ultrapod@gmail.com, and the coffee, UltraQ Fund. 2 notes. One, in a couple weeks, more Golden Kamuy, which I do have to start reading.
5 volumes.
Yeah, 5 volumes.
Up to we're going through volume 11.
Yes. So,
which will be a nice one. It's a very clean pace for the rest of that manga, because it just means 5 until the end. Also, it's a very clean break because 11 is exactly how many volumes I originally read.
Nice.
So after that, it will be.
I should have started reading, but instead the other night I spent was up till 2:30 a.m. reading about the Shinsengumi.
You know what? It's relevant.
Look forward to when I bring it up on that podcast.
Will we finally know exactly what the Shinsengumi are outside of, like, you know, vague cultural references?
Yeah. And also, big event. Big milestone.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I get to say this. Episode 38 and episode 39 next week.
Alternate subs.
Alternate subs.
So this is the last time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's I wonder when, you know, whatever changes.
Yeah. We'll see eventually. I'll tell you when it happens.
Yeah.
But
all right.
We won't have to worry about subs at least.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that is no, Brad.
It's Brad.
No, I'm not important. Apparently,
So that's the end. That's the end of the podcast. We'll see you all.
Was it because I did the New York William Shatner in the email again? This is because I got him out of the cage.
New York William Shatner is always welcome here.
Yeah.
Is New York William Shatner here right now?
I can't do it on the spot like that. Actually,
Damn.
I think I just realized. I tried to
right.
summon it out of me, and it couldn't happen.
Got the Wrath of Khan here.
Will. Wow.
I think this is an undiscovered country over here.
Wow.
I can't.
William Shatner's
It's getting worse every time I do it.
New York William Shatner is in two places at once. That's crazy. Are you both in the same room recording on the same microphone?
I'm sure there's
wow.
an episode about the original series like this, where there's two guys that are one guy.
Oh, you know what? I did watch an episode the other day where he divided into two guys.
Yeah, see?
It's time.
It's like that, but, you know.
Yeah. It was really obvious that when they shot that episode, that the guy facing away from the camera was not William Shatner. All right, that your plugs for real.
I'm being invoked on Blue Sky. Also, in the next few upcoming weeks, I'm going to be at Combo Breaker. If you're going, you'll probably find me where they're playing Gundam Extreme Versus. Just look for people playing that, and you'll probably see me there.
All right. Well, join us next time for 3 more episodes of Ultraman Leo. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later.
Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email.